Okay. Bueno, vamos a empezar. Bueno, y buenas tardes. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Están bien?
Sí, muy bien.
¿Todos están bien?
Sí, bien.
Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, vamos a empezar. Esta es la primera clase del otoño. This is first class of fall. I'm going to mention this only because people often need the reminder. Fall, oddly, just please remember, because somebody always forgets, and then they tell me in November, why didn't you tell me? Fall is split up into 2 sessions. So if you intend to be in both September, October, and November, December, you need to register twice for this one and for the one later, but that, can be done later. Para que sepan, just so you know, because if I don't do the little reminder, somebody always forgets. Okay, muy bien. También para que sepan, also, just so you know, sometime tomorrow morning-ish, well, maybe by noon, probably. The day after class, I always send out an email recap, and the recap always has the link to go in and look at the YouTube recording of class. So if you cannot make it to class, you can watch what we did later. And it will have any links of any materials I have, be they online or be they my Google files, things that you need to use. So you don't need to furiously copy lots and lots of notes, except maybe for little things if you want to bring up things you did in a small group, if I send you out into a smaller group. Okay, bien. And yes, please be mindful if you've got background noise in your house, because I think we got one person with a little bit of background noise right now. I don't know who it is. Remember to hit that mute button if you've got background noise. And, you can turn it on, off, toggle it. It's all good. Bueno, vamos a empezar. Vamos a practicar hoy. Esta noche vamos a practicar con cosas fáciles. We're going to practice with easy stuff to start out. We'll have a little bit of something that might look new-ish to some of you, but it's just it will be information to keep in your back hip pocket, not something you'll have to use a lot, but interesting things to learn. We're going to work with our little planes, our little planes notes. So for those of you who like to bring up 2 screens on your screen, this one and the one I'm sharing, but I'll be sharing this screen so you don't have to. But some people like to bring this up. This is the little set of files with ideas, speaking ideas, and I'll bring this up on the share screen. So if you can't bring up 2 screens, that's fine. But that's what we will be using very, very soon. Okay. Bien. Y vamos a hablar. We'll use those talking points, I think, in a large group today. There will be a lot of times when I will send you off into smaller groups to speak with a smaller number of people. But today is kind of just get to know you and chit chat and some easy stuff to ease in. And we're going to ease in. And I think today will be more of a kind of a vocabulary night more than anything else. But we're going to start with something that's kind of interesting. It's a super useful, es muy útil. Es un tip, es una pista, it's a clue, it's a tip, it's a thing. It is a vocabulary thing that will help us, that is super useful for, I think, everybody. And it's a short video, so we're going to listen to it all together here. Okay. It's a como se dice video. A short one. Okay. Con Guada. With Guada. She uses Guada as a nickname instead of Lupe. Guadalupe, pero Guada. Okay. Y bien.
explicar, por ejemplo, tu horario de trabajo y quieres decir que no trabajas los fines de semana.
Que no trabajes que no trabajas los fines de semana. What if you want to talk about the days that are not fines de semana? Todo el mundo sabe, fin de semana, weekend. ¿Sí? Los fines de semana, weekends, meaning just all of them in general. And many times we condense that idea of fin de semana to that little shorty slang term, fin de. Fin de es lo mismo, equivalente, fin de, para fin de semana. So, a slang term that lots of people like to use all over the Hispanic world for fin de semana, weekend, is el fin de, okay? But what if you don't want to talk about el fin de? What if you want to talk about weekdays? We'll let her give you the term.
Solo trabajas los días que no son fin de semana.
Los días que no son fin de semana. It gets better.
¿Cómo lo decimos? ¿Cómo llamamos a esos días que no son el sábado ni el domingo en español? Decimos entre semana.
Entre semana. Entre es in between, ¿no? Entre, in between. Entre semana. Entre semana es weekdays. Entre semana. Ok, vale. Y ella tiene un ejemplo muy fácil.
Los llamamos los días entre semana.
Los días entre semana. So you can also call them los días entre semana. Ok, un ejemplo.
Por ejemplo, yo trabajo entre semana.
Yo trabajo entre semana. I work on
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. En inglés se dice I work Monday through Friday. En inglés decimos I work weekdays. Pero en español lo más común es trabajo entre semana. Trabajo entre semana. Entre semana. Entonces, fíjense, notice this is another great example of why we can't translate word for word. Monday through Friday, we don't have the word through in that little word combo anywhere. Or on weekdays, we don't have the word on in there any place. It's just the two-word phrase, entre semana. Entre semana, ¿ok? Vale.
Y descanso los fines de semana. Si quieres.
Okay, vale. And I'll send you the little link to that so you can put it in and save it and do all that fun stuff to listen to it again later. Entre semana, entre semana. Okay, vale. Bueno, vamos a practicar. Vamos a practicar, vamos a hablar un poquito de lo que va a ocurrir, what is going to happen. No? And I sent you the little set of questions to talk about that. Y vamos a practicar primero con esta idea. Let's talk de los planes. How to talk about what is coming up. Now, I don't know if I should assume or not. Should I assume that I do not have to go through this video? Because this was tied in. You had a little link in those questions.
Yes.
No. Okay, bien, vale. One thing she talks about, and we're going to show you how it works. This video was talking about how to talk about the future. And of course, they have what is called el futuro simple, future simple, but yeah, grammar ease. There is this formal future tense. Okay. En inglés. Oh, will. Yeah. I will have class every Wednesday evening at 6. Okay. There is a way to say that future tense. But it's not always used in everyday chit chat so much. And so this video showed that you might hear both the futuro simple, the actual future tense, or that structure of ir a infinitivo. This is what is much more common, although I will show you what that future looks like, but it's not as common as this. And, in English, we also use this, and it's something where it does relate very closely to what we do in English, going to do something. And the thing she tried to explain in the video, which I hope you probably caught because they had nice subtitles there, was that when we're talking about things that are coming up fairly soon, okay, that's a relative judgment. But if you're talking about things that are coming up relatively soon, and you're pretty sure that, it's down on your calendar, you are going to do them, we use these, ir a infinitivo. And when we get into the futuro simple, the actual formal conjugations that are future tense, it kind of tends to indicate a greater distance in time, okay? And also it can indicate probability, but you're not really 100% on it, okay? So when we chat with people, which is what you mostly will be doing, because you're not going to be writing any term papers, no. What you're going to hear people using most of the time is this, okay? Entonces, vamos a practicar porque es muy fácil, because it's an easy thing for everybody to get their feet wet with. Ir a infinitivo, if you're going to do something, okay? And again, the link to that video, if you didn't have time to watch it, is right up there. En número 1, sí, tiene el enlace. It's got the link. Okay. Y vamos a hablar, instead of sending you off in small groups, I think we're going to do this all together just to get a variety of different things people might say. Por ejemplo, aquí, número 2, ¿sí? Cuando las temperaturas bajen, when they go down, because they haven't really yet, have they? That's why it's not bajan, but yeah, we're right on the cusp here where we live, aren't we? We're on the cusp. You get a good day and then kind of sucks again and goes way up. Yeah, then it goes down again. Okay, we're on the cusp. So that's why, because we're on the cusp, that's why it's not bajan like you think it should be, but bajen when they go down, because they haven't really yet. Okay. Cuando las temperaturas bajen en septiembre u octubre, voy a. ¿Qué van a hacer ustedes? ¿Qué dicen ustedes? Janet.
Voy a montar mi bicicleta otra vez y voy a aprender cómo jugar a pickleball con mi amiga.
Vas a aprender pickleball.
Yeah.
Qué divertido, qué divertido. Es un deporte tan popular.
Sí.
Tan popular. Sabes, Janet, esta semana había un comentario en Nextdoor. Yo no soy gran aficionada a las redes sociales, pero vi un comentario en Nextdoor y había un jugador profesional
¿De pickleball?
De pickleball, sí, un entrenador, un maestro que les enseña a las personas que quieren aprender a pickleball. Y este hombre se estaba quejando. Las personas que no son profesionales y no juegan muy bien en las canchas. No me caen bien. I don't like them. No me caen bien. Wow. y todos los demás, everybody else, todos las demás lo atacaron. Atacaron en Next Door por su mala actitud. Por su mala actitud. Bueno, las canchas son lugares públicos. Son lugares donde podemos aprender. Necesitamos las canchas públicas.
Sí.
Así es. Y el pobre, él no va a tener muchos estudiantes de Next Door porque no, mala actitud. Ok. Qué emocionante. Ok. Otras
pregunta.
ideas. Sí, dime.
Pregunta.
Juanita,
What
sí.
is the difference between septiembre u octubre or septiembre o? Because I thought that might have been a typo, but I know you don't make typos. So I looked it up and it does mean or, but could you use either or for or?
Eres muy amable. You are really kind. Sí cometo errores porque todo el mundo comete errores. Well, everybody makes mistakes. Pero, okay, voy a mostrarles. I'm going to show you guys por qué. Qué buena pregunta. Eres muy lista. You are really smart.
But I noticed something. In
Sí.
reading medical literature, if the word starts with O, they use O instead of oo.
Or
Oo instead of O. They
look
use
at
oo
how
instead of
this
O.
would sound.
Instead of saying October, they say
Vamos
oo.
a ver.
okay.
Let's take a look at how this would sound.
Oh.
How would this sound if I did this? O es or. Okay. Septiembre o octubre. Octubre.
Together.
That doesn't flow, does it? And you know, over hundreds of years, Spanish has had a very attitude of it's got to flow, baby. It's got to flow. So when you want to say or, but the next word starts with an o sound, that becomes an oo. That's all.
I
Yeah.
was thinking that there were a lot of typos in this medical literature, and then I looked it up and found out, no, they got it right. I was trying to make corrections.
Exacto, Kathy. Sí, bien. And it also happens with this little word as well, although you see it probably more often with this little word. A similar phonetic thing happens with this little word. When this little word, which sounds like E, comes up next to something that starts with the E sound, and I know when you say, wait a minute, that's an H. Yes, it's an H, pero no se pronuncia la H, right? So if for all intents and purposes, this next word does start with that sound E, right? So that's why it cannot be hijo. So it cannot be madre hijo for the same reason. Hijo, it doesn't work so well, okay? It is madre hijo. So we always, that next word that's coming up happens. Yeah, so there are two words, but you probably see it more with that Y changing to an E. But once in a while, you hear it with the U. Okay. Hay otra idea con cuando las temperaturas bajen en septiembre u octubre. Voy a. Y yo voy a montar en bicicleta más también. Ok, Janet, sí. Ahorita.
Voy a caminar mucho, no me quejo del calor. Is that how you would say I won't complain about the heat?
No me quejo del calor, sí. No me quejo del calor, sí.
Because to complain seems to be a subjunctive from everything I'm reading. Quejarse.
Quejarse is reflexive. Entonces sí, me quejo. Me
Because
quejo.
Because I'm doing the complaining or somebody else is doing the complaining.
Me quejo, sí. Sí. Quejarse es reflexivo siempre. It is always reflexive. It just is. I know it doesn't sound like that. Sentarse, levantarse. It's not that do it to yourself, but quejarse is just reflexive. Sí. Sí, muchas veces, y estoy de acuerdo contigo. I agree with you. Cuando las temperaturas bajen en septiembre, yo no voy a levantarme a las 4:30 para montar en bici. No, sí, ya no voy a levantarme, no voy a levantarme a las 4:30 para hacer ejercicio. Gracias a Dios. Ok, vale. Otras ideas. Any other ideas with this?
Cuando voy a poner las flores en el jardín.
Ok, bien, bien. Sí, quiero cultivar algunas flores en mi jardín. Casi todas mis plantas se murieron durante el verano.
Sí.
Ustedes también.
De
Casi
acuerdo.
todos.
Excepto los bougainvillea.
Es horrible. Y hay problemas con los cactus, hay problemas con casi todas las plantas este verano. ¡Ay, qué problema! Bien, sí, exacto. Ok, hay otra idea con uno. Kathy, bien.
Cuando las temperaturas bajen, voy a organizar cosas en mi garaje y limpiar mi garaje.
Sí, no se puede organizar las cosas en el garaje en agosto. No,
No.
locura. No, hace calor. Imposible, imposible. Bien, otra idea. ¿Alguien tiene algo más? Anybody have something else?
Voy a andar con mi perro.
Sí, vas a andar con tu perrito. Sí, claro. Buena idea, muy buena idea. Bien. Pat, ¿tienes algo?
I had caminar, and what confuses me is I wanted to say outside. Is it fuera or afuera?
Bien.
I said afuera, but I wasn't sure if that was right. It just came out.
Sí, afuera. Fuera, we usually mention what it's outside of. Okay, por ejemplo, to give you an idea. Por ejemplo, si hay 3 cactus fuera de la casa, ¿sí? Pero están fuera de la casa. I tell what it's outside of. Yeah, instead of being like inside my house as an inside house plant, that kind of thing. Sí, afuera. Al aire libre, También al aire libre, outdoors. Yeah, when we talk about the great outdoors, al aire libre.
Sí. That's what I said.
So there are different ways you can do that, of course. Sí, claro. Ok, vale. ¿Hay otras ideas? O vamos a seguir al número 3. ¿3? Ok. Creo que vamos a boom, boom, boom en esta clase. I think we're going to do something in this class. Espero que sí. Gee, I hope so. Okay. Kathy, bien.
Okay. Creo que vamos a aprender más sobre las formas de los verbos en la clase.
Okay, bien, bien. ¿Qué más?
Creo que vamos a divertirnos mucho en la clase.
Vamos a divertirnos mucho en la clase. Eso es, sí. Vamos a divertirnos mucho. We're going to have a really good time. Eso es, sí. Bien, ¿qué más? Federico.
Creo que vamos a ver muchos videos sobre cosas confusas.
A veces, tristemente, a veces sí. A veces sí. Bien, bien. Vale, bueno. Eso es. Bueno, ¿qué más? Creo que vamos a...
Creo que vamos a aprender mucho en esta clase y un día yo voy a hablar español.
Sí, eso es. Muy bien. Creo que vamos a conversar mucho en esta clase. Creo que vamos a conversar mucho en esta clase. Muy bien. ¿Hay otra idea contra eso, no? Sí, sí, ¿no? Bien, vamos. Ok, vale, bueno. Siguiente, next. Siguiente. I'm like a checkbox here. Siguiente. 4. Durante el otoño, mi familia va
A regreso a escuela.
Ok, bien. Mi familia va a tener una fiesta de los novios en otoño.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Una fiesta de novios. Es de mi sobrino. Mi sobrino se va a casar en febrero. Así que mi familia en otoño va a tener una fiesta para los novios.
Sí,
Ok.
sí. Qué bueno.
Espero que sí. Nunca se sabe con las familias grandes. You just never know with the big families, you know. Those reunions can be really great or like siempre hay algo. There's always something. Okay. Vale. Bueno, sí, Kathy.
En el otoño, mi familia va a ir a Pasadena para una reunión de nuestra familia.
Pasadena. Muy bien. Sí, Pasadena es la ciudad del desfile, de la parada de las rosas en enero, ¿no? Bien, cerca de Los Ángeles, ¿sí? Bien. Bueno, ¿qué más durante el otoño?
Durante el otoño, mi familia va a una boda en California.
Muy bien, sí. Excelente. Una temporada de bodas, sí. Federico.
So I have a couple questions here. I'll ask the first one. You do have a license to say va a ir, right?
Va a ir, gonna go. Sí se puede, sí, yes you can.
Okay. Durante el otoño, mi hijo va a ir a Mazunte, México, a ver la construcción de su nueva palapa. Which is my next question. I never quite know where to put the adjectives because sometimes you put them after the noun and sometimes you put it before. And as simple as that rule is, I'm not sure I get it.
Okay. Es buena pregunta. That is a good question. Okay. Voy a simplificar las cosas un poquito. I'm going to try to simplify this because this is one happily that you can. Adjectives, if I were to pick a percentage, most of the time they will follow the noun they talk about. Most of the time. And of course, you always know that's the dangerous part. Yeah, when it's most of the time. Because when is it not? Okay. Most of the time, an adjective will come in front of the noun like we do in English. And that's the thing that we like in English, you know. Blue car, fast horse, yeah, big house. Okay, but casa grande, un caballo rápido, ¿sí? Un carro azul. Okay, so most of the time they follow. But when adjectives do come in front of a noun, it's usually, or it's frequently going to be because they're talking about an amount, like a quantity issue or an actual number. Okay, so mucho, poco, yeah, all of those. Also, a lot of times words like bueno and malo will actually wind up coming up in front because they're kind of, I want to say blah adjectives, you know, good and bad are just kind of really common. They don't really paint a picture in your head. Yeah. Adjectives that paint a picture in your head, they follow the noun. They do the opposite of the English. But things that are kind of, I'm going to say super generic, like sometimes even new and old, you know, nuevo, viejo, those often come in front. Bueno, malo often come in front, and quantities. And there are some other kind of literary uses, which you're not going to encounter, so you don't care.
Literally.
So
Okay,
it would be not unusual to hear, you know, mi hijo va a construir una nueva casa. My son is going to build a new house. That would not be unusual or odd sounding.
And if that would not be outside, you know, odd sounding, and you chose to put it after the noun, you'd be okay.
See. The only place it's going to sound really weird is if you take one of those quantity adjectives and put it behind. So nobody's going to say, I got to think hard to say it this way. Carros muchos. It's always muchos carros. Mi cuñada tiene pocas ideas. My sister-in-law has few ideas. You know, you want to diss your in-laws. Yeah. Sí, Esteban.
Maybe an easy way to remember that. Let's see if I can get this right. You can say, you say, mi hijo va a construir una nueva casa blanca, a new white house.
Often when you combine some things like that, see, because what's the key thing? It's really the thing that paints a picture in your head is the blanca part.
So you have the abstract first, the definitive house, and then the description.
Gracias. Buena explicación. Yeah, the abstract first, then the thing, and then the descriptive. Yeah.
And I think the thing that threw me off is one of the little books I've got was about the three little javelinas, and it's los tres pequeños javelinas. Well, there's the pequeños right in front of it. So I think that threw me off right from the beginning, but that's okay. I'm clear now.
Yeah. Yeah, pequeñas javelinas, no? Yeah, little javelinas, pequeñas javelinas. Yeah, you know, again, you know, big and little, new and old. some things like that may actually precede. But if you put it behind, it's no great tragedy. It's not like somebody isn't going to understand you. It'll wind up being an NBD and no big deal.
Okay, thank you.
See? Okay. But those quantity ones, they must come in front. And even things, when you get beyond mucho and poco to things like varios, which means several. Several still talks about a quantity, even though it's vague. Yeah. So, tengo varios libros con buenos ejemplos. I have several books with, examples. Varios libros. You would never say con libros varios. It'll always be varios libros, several books. So anything that talks about quantity will have to come in front. That would sound odd to them if you try to invert that. But, that's something that you're probably not going to make a mistake on. Yeah. Es un hombre de pocas palabras. He's a man of few words. You're not going to say palabras pocas. You're going to say pocas palabras, a few words. Yeah. See? Okay.
Gracias.
Buena pregunta. Hay otra. Sí, bien, dime.
How about demasiado? Would you say I demasiado mucho? I demasiado caros blancos?
Por ejemplo, es demasiada información. It's too much information. Es demasiada información. Too much is still talking about quantity. It's vague. You just know it's like lots. Yeah. Demasiado or demasiada. Yeah. Or demasiados. Yeah. It's still quantity, even though it's kind of a vague, non-specific in terms of, an actual number thing. See, should be in front.
Okay. Thank
Sí.
you.
Bien. Okay. Buenas preguntas. Good questions. These are the kind of questions you should have. They're fine. Hay otra idea con los planes del otoño. Durante el otoño, mi familia va a algo más o siguiente. Oh, Janet.
Más. Durante el otoño, mi familia, él, va a visitar Desert Botanical Garden para experiencia el Día de los Muertos celebration.
Sí, hay celebraciones de Día de Muertos, que son celebraciones muy memorables, muy importantes en el jardín botánico, ¿sí? Bien, ok. Celebración de Día de Muertos, ¿sí?
I needed to reverse that, yeah.
Eso es, sí. No se dice Día de Muertos celebración, es celebración de
Sí.
Día de los Muertos, sí. Es así. Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, Pat, ¿tienes algo? Pat, did I see your hand go up earlier?
This is what my family be doing, not necessarily me, but not here in Arizona, but durante el otoño, mi familia recoger manzanas en un huerto local. Go pick apples.
Okay.
And an orchard, and I looked up orchard and it said it was a
Huerto.
huerto.
Sí, sí. Huerto is always a place where you grow food items as opposed to flowers that just look nice. Yeah, as opposed to ornamental things. Sí, huerto. Huerto es buena palabra. Huerto. Con H, with an H, spelled with an H. Huerto. Eso es. Muy bien. Ok. ¿Algo más o siguiente a número 5? ¿Algo más? Bien, bien. Bueno. Siguiente. Mañana voy a. Mañana, ¿qué voy a hacer? Mañana voy a hablar con mi hermana que vive en Michigan, porque siempre hablo con ella los jueves. Ella siempre tiene tiempo libre los jueves y ella trabaja los miércoles y no trabaja los jueves. Así que voy a hablar con mi hermana mañana. ¿Qué van a hacer ustedes mañana?
Mañana,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, gracias. Mañana voy a ir, lo siento. Mañana voy a conducir a trabajo y después de trabajo voy a ir a una clase de jiu-jitsu.
Una clase de jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
¡Qué interesante! Vas a practicar jiu-jitsu. ¿Cómo es diferente jiu-jitsu a, por ejemplo, judo o karate?
In jiu-jitsu, I don't know how to say this. In jiu-jitsu, there's no striking. You don't punch or hit, you just grapple.
No hay golpes.
No hay golpes.
No golpea. No, sí. No pegas. You don't hit. No golpeas a nadie. Ah, es más como lucha libre. It's more of a wrestling issue.
Sí.
Más
Sí.
o menos. Ah, muy interesante. Y bueno, en Jiu-Jitsu tienen como cinturones. Do they have belts? Sí, hay cinturones de colores como en karate.
Sí, tengo blanco.
bien.
Sí,
De nivel de principiante, ¿sí?
sí.
Bien, está bien. Pero me
¿Dónde,
imagino... Oh, no.
¿Dónde está clases?
¿Dónde es la
Esta-
clase? Where does the class take place?
Esta clase es por las calles de Miller y McKellips en Scottsdale.
Oh,
Bueno, es un estudio de artes marciales.
¿Qué?
Is it a martial arts studio? Es
sí,
un
sí.
estudio especialmente para artes marciales.
Sí, el nombre es Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Social Club.
Social club.
Bueno, me gusta el nombre. Bien, excelente. Entonces vas a trabajar primero y después vas a practicar jiu-jitsu. Bueno, excelente. ¿Algo más? ¿Qué van a hacer ustedes mañana?
Mañana voy a almorzar con mi esposo, mi hermano y un primo.
Ah, excelente.
Are
¿Y
you
el primo vive aquí?
No, el primo, ¿cómo se dice? Vino de Illinois.
Oh, vive en Illinois. Muy bien.
Oh.
Ok. Está de visita, entonces. Está de visita. Muy bien. Excelente. ¿Algo más? Mañana voy a, ¿algo? Sí, Kathy.
mañana voy a limpiar mi dormitorio y organizar las cosas.
Sí.
Un
Siempre
día de
hay...
trabajar.
Es un día de trabajar, sí, por lo general aquí también. Mañana voy a comprar cosas en el supermercado, voy a lavar la ropa, voy a hacer muchos quehaceres. I'm going to do a lot of chores. Sí, el jueves generalmente es un día de quehaceres. Ok. Ahora vamos a hablar de este fin de semana o se dice también este fin de. And fin de is our shortcut word we can use. Ay, ¿dónde está? Ok, así. Fin de is our shortcut word that a lot of people like to use for this longer term. So, of course, you can use either one. Son equivalentes. They're equivalents. Este fin de semana voy a montar en bicicleta por lo menos 15 millas en el parque. ¿qué van a hacer ustedes?
Yo voy a limpiar, a descansar.
Voy a descansar. Típico, muy típico del fin de, ¿sí? Voy a descansar. ¿Qué más?
Este fin de semana voy a llamar mi amiga en Seattle por su cumpleaños.
Ah, ella tiene cumpleaños. Excelente, excelente, muy bien. ¿Qué más?
Este fin voy a ver mi nieta a correr en, how do you say, cross country?
Ah, no creo que exista un término específico para cross country. I have looked this up before because I had students who were in cross country. See, correr, just running, correr, correr.
Okay, en el competición.
Sí, ok, en un concurso o competencia. Competencia es competition, también concurso, a contest. Sí,
Sí.
eso sí. Sí, es la temporada de los deportes de los jóvenes, sí, especialmente si asisten al colegio, a la escuela secundaria. Hay muchos deportes populares para los jóvenes, los adolescentes, como correr, sí, cross country, como fútbol americano, como ¿qué más? ¿Cuáles son los otros deportes? Sí, fútbol americano, sí, así.
Y
Bien.
fútbol, bien.
Bueno, ok. Excelente. ¿Algo más de fin de semana, sí o no? O siguiente, or next up. Oh, Pat, sí.
Oh, it's okay. I wanted to say, okay, voy a hablar más tiempo con mis hijos sobre nuestras vacaciones. A long time. I barely had time to talk to him because we
vas a conversar mucho. Vas
Is
a
that what you should use?
platicar, chat,
That would
sí,
be better than
platicar. No, not better, just different ways when we talk about chatting with people. This is one of those good words. And one of our little themes is going to be building some new vocabulary words. You're going to see this shortly. But, instead of hablar, if it's a real friendly, cozy chat, you might want to substitute once in a while, instead of hablar, the word platicar. Platicar es chit chat, but not like deep philosophical stuff, just for fun, kind of talking, platicar. Bien. Excelente. Ok. Bueno, entonces, siguiente. La última cosa, pues bueno, no son preguntas exactamente, pero dentro de poco, in a little while, ¿sí? Dentro de poco, mis amigos van a, dentro de poco, mis amigas que eran colegas en la secundaria, dentro de poco, mis amigas de la secundaria van a reunirse por la mañana en un café. Dentro de poco. ¿Algo más? ¿Qué van a hacer sus amigos? ¿Algo más o no?
Sí.
¿Sí? No, ya, sí.
Dentro de poco, mis amigas van a visitarme. No las he visto por más de 2 años a causa de COVID.
Qué especial. Bien. Ellas van a volar a Phoenix.
Porque viven en Chicago.
Eso, muy bien, excelente. Bueno, gracias. Federico.
So when I finish the sentence, tell me if I finished it correctly. Dentro
Claro.
de poco, mis amigos van a ir a un restaurante que tiene COVID en todas partes.
¡Ah! Ok. Sí.
En todas partes, is that correct?
Por todas partes, all over the place, everywhere.
Oh, so it's not in, it's por, is it? I had COVID en, en, todas
Oh,
partes.
En todas partes, all over, sí. Everywhere, all over, sí. Sí. En
So,
todas partes.
en is correct?
En is okay. Por is okay. Por todas partes, all over.
Okay.
Muy normal, por todas partes, sí, así es. Bien, bueno, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más? Dentro de poco, mis amigos que viven en Minnesota van a volver a Arizona porque son snowbirds, son visitantes, ¿sí? Tengo unos amigos de Minnesota y bueno, de muchos estados, pero especialmente mi amiga que vive en Minnesota, ¿sí? Va a volver aquí a su casa en Arizona. ¿Qué más? ¿Hay algo más o no? ¿O siguiente? Okay, vale. Perfecto. Let's build a little bit. I want to, actually, before we build a little bit, I just want to show you a quick snippet. And I'll send you the file for this. I wouldn't say this is something that you have to like flat out memorize. But it's easy enough to take a quick look. And it was mentioned in that video that sweet lady had about talking about planes. And she talked about futuro simple. So if you ever hear this, so that you can recognize what it is, this is what futuro simple is. If we don't use the ir a infinitivo, ir a and infinitive, if you don't use that, you're going to tend to hear it really more in kind of more formal settings or things that talk about events that are pretty far out and therefore not super sure. There is a formal set of conjugations, and this is one of only 2 tenses in Spanish that is actually built on the entire infinitive. So the AR, ER, IR, which are always your friends because they tell you the 3 different kinds of verbs in Spanish, they end in AR, ER, IR. Instead of taking off the AR, taking off the ER, taking off the IR, it will keep those endings on. So future tense and another tense, which is called conditional, those are the 2 tenses. They actually use the whole infinitive form. And no se quita, er, you don't take off the AR things. But you do have, of course, conjugation endings for future. And this is what they are. Okay, so you've got an ending for yo. It's an with an accent. But you see, it winds up being like this with estar, por ejemplo. With estar, you keep everything with estar. You don't take off the AR. So estaré. Okay. But it's really important that you have to punch that at the end for the future, right? For the tu form, you've got an AS. Notice tu forms usually have an S at the end, yeah? And it'll be an AS, estarás, estarás, okay? Bien, and again, we punch the ending harder. For él or ella or usted, we just have that a, but with an accent, estará, bien? For nosotros, it'll be estaremos, right? Hemos is the ending. Vosotros, we don't talk about too much because they only use it in Spain, but it's es if you ever have a need to use it. If you travel in Spain, you'll hear it. And ellos esos estarán. So notice there are always things that help us to kind of figure, third person plural, the they form always gets an N at the end, kind of no matter what tense you're looking at. And tú usually and most gets an S at the end. And then we have this ever present, this must thing, which always tells us it's a we verb. So you tag it onto the whole infinitive and you use the exact same endings, as, a, hemos, an, for all the infinitives. ARE and IR don't go off and do different things. They do the same thing. Sí, Esteban.
I'm probably wrong, but first about the commentary, you use this particular form for the future for things out in the distance. I was under the impression that voy a hablar you can always use, and it's an informal setting. Well, this is used more in literary formats.
I would say that is true.
Would it be incorrect though to say voy a hablar con mis amigos en el año próximo?
El próximo año, next year, because that's so far out, future might be a better fit. Now, if you're just saying next month, voy a hablar con ellos. Yeah. Once you get out.
You're saying that I shouldn't use that for a long term.
Yeah, this is something that's used generally for much longer range kind of planning or in more formal kind of settings like newscasters, in print, newspaper or books, actual printed materials. You might hear this future more, okay? But really in everyday conversation, it's going to be ir a infinitive. But this is just so that you know. Now, there is one kind of interesting thing about this future tense. Sometimes it doesn't really mean future. So, well, it does, but it's more of a probability thing. And that's why in that little video she talked about in distance and uncertainty. Once you start to get like way out there, sometimes this future is used to say this idea in English of must be. There's a difference between must be and something will be happening. Okay, so if you get something like this, ¿dónde está la banda? Estarán por llegar. They must be about to arrive. They're not here now. Hey, we don't see them. You're looking around. You're looking at the stage. Stage is empty. Where's the band? Yeah. ¿Dónde está la banda? Estarán por llegar. They must be about to arrive. If somebody makes a comment like that using future, they're probably not really talking about the future tense. They're expressing a probability. They must be coming pretty soon. Estarán por llegar. They must be just about ready to get up on stage. Yeah. Or por ejemplo, aquí, ¿qué pasa con Diego? Tendrá problemas con su carro. He must have problems with his car. You're speculating. Future tense can sometimes mean speculation. Sí, Esteban.
Okay, here we go.
Try tendra.
¿Dónde está la banda? Where's the band? Now they're using estarán. Why wouldn't you use van a estar, because it's something that's very, very close, rather than estarán, which would be all the way out in the future?
There's a very subtle difference. Van a estar aquí pronto. They're going to be here soon. You're saying, hey, I know it's going to happen. I know.
Oh, this is
I know it will. Yes, it will. Okay. But at the very subtle little twist, estarán, but well, they must be. You're speculating.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're kind of wondering to yourself.
Go excuse me. Why is tenir? Why is it tendra?
Ah, okay. Because there are some irregulars. Okay. So here, the hook.
Oh.
The nice thing about future is that they all the different kinds of verbs use the same kind of endings. Yay! You say, this is sweet. I like this a lot. Because it takes this, A-R-E-R-I thing off my plate. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. But there are a bunch of irregulars, meaning you can't just say, oh, here's the infinitive. Keep it as it is.
Oh.
They do, I like to call it the trash compactor thing. They squeeze something out of the middle of the infinitive. They kind of keep the infinitive, but they squeeze stuff out of the middle like a trash compactor. Okay. So hacer becomes the C and the E go away. Haré, harás, hará. Yeah. Querer, querré, querrás, querrá. Decir, and you can see these are, it's like you got letters left out. Yeah. But tener is very odd. It gets a D. Where is there a D in tener? No place. It just needs to be there, right? And the same thing happens with salir. A D out of nowhere. A D. Saldré. See? Same thing with venir. Vendré. So you get these odd little, here are a bunch of irregulars. And you'll get this whole thing. Don't copy them all down. Because you're not going to hear these a lot. But in case you do hear them, just so you know what future is. Future generally means further out, generally is more formal, less conversational. And future very definitely can be speculation. You're giving your opinion about what you think must be happening. Must be happening. But so, the thing to remember, the takeaway, the big thing to know is en la conversación típica, in a typical conversation, se expresa el futuro así, ir a infinitivo. This is what you should use. But so that because they mentioned all this futuro simple, and, you might be thinking, well, what is that? So I'll send you the link so you see what this is about. But you're not likely to have to use it a lot, but just so that, if you hear somebody use that structure, just know they're either talking more formally or they may have, be speculating and they don't really know for sure what's going on with that. Okay. Game? Okay. I want to fit in some things today about some playing with words, how to build words. And I'm looking for where I had 2 videos. Where'd my 2 videos go? Momentito. Vamos a tomar unos minutos para hablar de nuevas palabras. We're going to take a couple minutes for some shorty ideas about expanding our vocabulary a little bit. Okay. And we had, was it Mary who said, voy a descansar, I'm going to rest. Este fin de voy a descansar. Ooh, you guys are so clairvoyant. Okay. Because here's one of the videos I picked. This is something designed to just make you think a little bit harder about, there are different words people may, you learn that one word.
Right.
And you talk to somebody and you expect them to use that word and then they throw you the curveball. And there's like, what did they just say? It wasn't the word I thought it was going to be. Okay. Por ejemplo, here's a good example of that. But these are helpful. Son palabras útiles. Otras formas de decir descansar. Other ways to say rest. Okay. And rest as in chill out. Not rest as in the rest of the story. The rest of them. The rest of them are gone. No. The rest of them have yet to come. No, not that kind of rest, but resting as in chilling out. Okay. Y voy a engrandecer. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger. And again, I'll send you the link to all these, but sí, un poquito más grande. Uy,
Today's big question.
no, él no.
Habla español nivel experto. Aprende otras formas de decir descansar. Tumbarse.
Tumbarse. Wow. Tumbarse. Sí, tumbarse. The word tumba is a tomb, isn't it?
Sí.
Tumba is a tomb, you know, dead people. Yeah. Did this come from that? You got to wonder. I don't know. No sé. Yeah, laid them out. I don't know. Tumbarse. Pero es reflexivo. It's reflexive. Sí. Tumbarse. She'll give you an example.
Estoy muy cansada. Me voy a tumbar un rato.
Me voy a tumbar un rato. Yeah. Tumbarse. I know. If you know that word tumba, you like automatically you know, the little X's over the eyes thing. Yeah. Okay. Vale.
Echarse.
Echarse. And often this will be combined with echarse una siesta, echarse una siesta. And I know echar by itself means to throw. And yeah, echarse otra vez. Reflexivo aquí, echarse.
Hoy trabajaste mucho. ¿Por qué no te echas un poco?
¿Por qué no te echas un poco? Why don't you set yourself down? Throw yourself there. Think of it as echar. Yeah, throw your body over there on that couch. Yeah. ¿Por qué no te echas un poco? Yeah. They don't want you to take the softball and toss it around the backyard with the grandkids. No, 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 no.
Reposar.
Reposar.
La abuela caminó bastante. Ahora está reposando.
Está reposando. Está reposando. She's taking a break. She's resting a little bit. Interestingly, you hear this word reposar used for recipes when they talk about letting dough sit.
On rice.
Yeah, because you want it, you've got yeast in there and you want it to sit and it
Rest.
it's just a little. That word reposar you hear if you ever turn on a recipe channel and she's talking about you know, making some kind of a pastry or bread that has to rise. They'll talk about reposar, reposa. La deja reposar, let it rest for a bit. Okay, so you'll hear that in recipes too, para que sepan, so you know.
Estirarse.
Estirarse, which literally is stretch, but we stretch when we're either getting up or getting ready to lay down.
Hoy fue un día agotador. Solo quiero estirarme en la hamaca.
Estirarme en una hamaca, stretch out on a hammock. Okay. Not too hard. Recostarse, recostarse. Acostarse es go to bed, no? Acostarse, go to bed. Recostarse is to lay down on your side. Lay down on your side.
Recostarse. Los muchachos se recostaron un poquito antes de volver a trabajar. Relajarse.
Relajarse, claro, sí, relajarse. Una palabra universal, relajarse, relax, chill out, right? Relax yourself. I like that is reflexive. You relax your whole body. Relajarse.
Para esa tarea y relájate un poco, por favor. Habla.
Okay. Always good to know these because, you know, it's always that time that you expect to hear descansar. And what comes out of somebody's mouth is, me voy a echar una siesta. And you're thinking, throw a siesta? What the heck? Yeah. Pero me voy a echar una siesta. I'm going to take a little nap. So there are many, many different ways we can talk about resting. And these are just ways of expanding our vocabulary. Okay, we're going to have another one because, again, it's a way that words morph a little bit. But this is in a different way. This is not just talking about synonyms, words that mean the same thing or some very similar things. This is rather about words that come from a noun. So words where you've got a noun that has an accompanying verb built on the same word base. Okay. So if you know the noun, it's not too hard to get to the verb, or vice versa. Bien? Okay. Verbos like sustantivos, verbs that come from nouns. Sustantivos son nouns. Okay. Nouns, things.
Entonces, estos 7 verbos que vienen de sustantivos. Piso, pisar.
Piso, pisar. Piso is, well, a floor. Pisar, yeah, piso is a floor, yeah. Pisar is step on something. Yeah, pisar. Okay. And make it an AR verb, pisar. Okay.
No pises con zapatos porque acabo de limpiar el piso.
Yeah, don't step on that because I just washed the floor.
Zapato, zapatear.
Zapato, zapatear. You're not likely to use this in a conversation a lot unless you like ballroom dancing of some sort. Okay. Zapatear is to tap.
Los zapatos de claqué tienen metal para hacer ruido al zapatear.
Tap dance shoes, yeah, zapatear. But you know, tapping your foot too. Zapatear, just tapping your foot, maybe not tap dancing. Peine, peinar.
Peinar. Yo me
Peine is a comb you put through your hair.
Dibujo, dibujar.
Dibujo, dibujar, fácil. Wow, that's easy. Yeah, dibujo is a drawing. Yeah, piece of paper with something on it, or canvas with drawing on it. See, dibujo, dibujar, to draw.
Ese dibujo lo dibujaron con un lápiz. Pata, patear.
Pata, patear. Pata is a leg, but cuidado, cuidado, careful, of course, because pata is a leg, not for a person.
Yeah.
Pata is an animal leg, or also like a leg on like a table. Can be, yeah, like a leg of a table can be that too. But usually, por lo general, pata, ¿sí? Un perro tiene 4 patas. Bien, yeah. Pato with an O at the end is a duck, of course. This is pata, pata, con an A at the end. Patear, patear is to kick. Yeah. Sometimes you hear it also expressed as dar un pateo, give a kick. But patear is to kick because you're using la pata. Yeah, the animal is using their leg.
Los caballos patean con las patas traseras.
Yeah, horses kick with their hind legs. Yeah, traseras means in the back side, right? Okay.
Lija, lijar.
Lija, sandpaper. Lijar to sand. Again, maybe limited use for conversation, but I'll let her do it.
Mesa con una lija para madera. Verano, veranear.
Me gusta este verbo, veranear. Verano, summer, veranear. To spend the summer, to pass your summer, veranear. Esto me gusta mucho, ¿ok? Los snowbirds van a veranear en Wisconsin, en Minnesota, lo que sea, wherever. ¿Sí? Bien? Veranear. And, it's an AR verb. Again, veranear.
Este verano veranearemos en la Patagonia.
Okay. Eso es. And that's it for that. And I'll send you the little link for that again. But it's a good thing to think of because many, many times, especially with Spanish, we have these words that sometimes are related. You know, you may hear something being used as a verb and maybe you know the noun form. And a lot of times you can decode either when you're reading or listening to somebody, you can often decode and get an idea of what a new word means just by knowing that base form it comes from. See? Bien? Okay. Bueno, a ver. We're going to momento. Okay. Alguna pregunta? I should any follow-up question on that little bit or no? No? Bien. Okay. The listening video you're going to have for next week is going to focus a little bit more on past. Well, very much more on past. So it's just going to be a past story. So just as to kind of prep you, you're going to get a story in very slow Spanish, pretty easy to understand. I'm trying to remember back. Yeah, she does this at a pretty slow pace. She's going to be talking about a trip. You'll hear a lady describing a trip. So most of your listening is going to be about past tense events. And we'll have some follow-up. Actually, I think she reads through it more than once. Anyway, it's something we're not going to do in class, but you're going to listen for between now and next session. And we'll use some past tense things to kind of dip our toes into past. We did future today, and now we're going to talk about more past, which means it's going to be imperfecto and pretérito, right? Yeah. And of course, we can throw a whole slew of other tenses in there, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to keep it to pretérito, talking about events, and imperfecto, talking about descriptions. So when she flips between those two, keep that in mind, that whenever you hear the ia or aba endings, they're going to be descriptions. What was going on, what things looked like. Imperfecto, the aba and the ia endings always are used for either repeated activities, things that were done more than once, or background action or descriptions when we talk in the past. But in Spanish, unlike in English, we can't tell everything in imperfecto. All talking about past events has to include both imperfecto for the descriptive parts of our little story about what happened, and then our pretérito. And the pretérito has the events. This happened first, then this, then this. And the pretérito moves the action forward because it tells in sequence what happened and then what came after that and what happened after that. So it actually moves the progress of the story forward rather than, describes things. Okay. So you'll have a nice story to listen for that. And we'll base some conversation questions off of that little story. And I want to finish up our class with a little bit of a listening drill. You may want to jot some things down. I think somebody asked and said, one thing that I want to work on this fall, Marilyn, I really want you to do like 10 minutes or 5 minutes every session with this. And this person said, I just really struggle with when people say numbers and they say a bunch of numbers in quick succession. And I'm like, oh, I got those first two and now I'm like totally lost. Yeah. So one of the specific requests I got for fall was, hey, can we work on some listening comprehension with numbers so that I can work that piece a little bit harder? So we're going to do that now. And Let me make sure I got the easier one first. I set these up in order. Please. Números, ¿dónde están? Vale, creo que sí. I think I got these in the right order. Eso es, sí. Bien. Ok, vale. Puedo engrandecer. 4 minutos, 4 minutes. You may want to have something to write down just so you can jot down and check how you did. Okay, bien. But it's a good little thing. And after we've listened for a while, and boy, if I threw this at you first thing out, I'd be like, I feel like I'm back in school. I'm being quizzed. Oh my God, don't do this to me. Okay, a ver. Let's see.
Welcome to Spanish listening. Today we're going to practice with the Spanish numbers. So in this activity, I will tell you the phone numbers of 7 of my friends. What you need to do is listen and write the phone numbers correctly.
Okay, so that's our mission. We got some phone numbers and they're going to take them apart into like pairs. Okay, bien. And I think he's going to explain, he's not going to do these in a linear order. I think he's going to pair it up with the name. Okay, but it is going to be pairs of numbers, so it's more than one number. So we're going to take some easier numbers listening practice.
Be careful though, I will not tell you the phone numbers in the same order as they appear on the screen.
Okay, so in other words, Carolina will not be the first number. Okay, para que sepan, so you know. Okay, so just jot down, scratch paper,
Make sure you write them next to the correct name. For this activity, have a piece of paper and a pencil with you and copy what you see on the screen. If you aren't ready yet, pause the video now and resume it when you are. Well, if you're ready now, let's get started. Bien, pues vamos a empezar con el número de teléfono de Alberto, que
Alberto, ¿sí?
es el 20 12 83 23 77. Repito.
Okay. Oh, he is going to repeat it once. I forgot that he's going to repeat it one more time so you can check yourself.
20 12 83 23 77.
Okay, so he's going to go through the numbers. They're all going to be in pairs like that. See, bien? And then he'll show you. So just copy them down and we'll see how many of these you get right.
Continuamos con el número de teléfono de Carolina, que es el 71 45 89 54 12. Una vez más, 71
71
45
45
89
89
54
54
12.
12.
A continuación seguimos con Gabriel.
Okay, now we're working on Gabriel. El número de teléfono de Gabriel.
El número de teléfono de Gabriel es 90 58 87 15 12. Una vez más, 90 58 87 15 12.
Okay, we're going to pause it for a minute there. Sí, un minuto.
Bien, continuamos con el número de teléfono de Ernesto.
Ernesto. Aquí tenemos el número de Ernesto.
Su número de teléfono es 69 22 87 20 11. Repito, 69 22, 87, 20, 11. Ahora continuamos con el número de teléfono de César.
Ok. Ahora César, el número de César.
53, 78, 20, 13, 03. Una vez más.
Oh, 03.
53, 78, 20, 13, 03. A continuación les voy a decir el número de teléfono de Sofía.
Ok, ahora vamos a Sofía, new phone number. Un nuevo número de Sofía.
Es 24, 69, 56, 56, 98. Repito, 24, 69, 56, 56, 98. Y finalmente les voy a decir el número de teléfono de Daniela.
Daniela, ok. El último número de Daniela aquí. Daniela.
Es 55, 01, 80, 46, 96. Se los digo de nuevo. 55, 01, 80, 46, 96. Now let's see the answers.
Ok. ¿Difícil o no? ¿Fácil o difícil?
Oh, difícil.
Difícil.
Let me
Okay.
see the answers. and I'll
I'll
know.
give you the link to this because, you know, for some of you, this may be a super helpful thing to do again in our interim, our little week here until we meet again to kind of quiz yourself again. But, you know, I thought this was, I think this is the first time somebody put it this way. They said, you know, a lot of times people throw a lot of numbers at me. And then I get all flustered because I catch the first one and then everything after that becomes mush. You know, that's a really good point. This is a skill and it's a listening skill, really, because people throw numbers at you at the marketplace, you know, filling out forms, whatever you're doing. So it's a survival kind of skill. It's definitely worth doing. So let's see how many you got. Wow, aquí vamos. So, and see why I did it in pairs. So now I chose this specific listening video because, you know, they were all double digits, pairs of double digit numbers. So he wasn't giving you, you know, 16 trillion, no, none of that. You know, number pairs that would be common to hear. You know, you heard double digit numbers in pricing of things very, very frequently. So a useful skill to have. And there are all your numbers. And I'll send you the link in case you want to quiz yourself again, you know, blank, because there's no way you're going to memorize. Well, maybe my husband could maybe memorize all those. He's a genius with numbers. I have a hard. If you ask me to memorize a 5 number sequence, I'm like, oh my God, I'm already stressing out, you know. Okay. Aquí. And I think that's all he's got because that's the end. Okay. Vale. Bien. Perfecto. Bien. Okay. Now, the listening you're going to have will not be anything like that for the week. It will be a story about a trip. So it will be fun. Another thing I want to do next week a little bit is to talk about some words that change in meaning depending on ser, estar. Vale la pena revisar un poquito ser y estar. Is it worth our time to work a little on ser, estar? And some words that kind of change a little bit with meaning with that. See? Bien? Because a lot of times we get messed up with that. And I found some kind of interesting information again. And again, what you're going to find out is that one of the One of the keys was ser estar, like they talked about in future with like, if it's just a little ways out versus way out, it makes a difference. It's kind of like that with ser and estar, a little bit. You'll see why next week. So we'll work a little on that together and expressing some ideas together. Let me, no, okay. Yeah, let me ask. Would you guys like to see the slide set for next week of the words we're going to practice with that? So that you
Yeah.
can prep some ideas? Is that helpful to you to be able to prep a little ahead of time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one's going to be just conversation, just video to, listen to what the lady's talking about with her trip. And and we'll do some conversation about that. And then we will do some review on numbers like we did with this, but at a little different level, and a little bit of work with some words that work with ser and estar, maybe. That's always a very, very tricky thing for us. And again, it's one of those topics that every time you think you got it figured out, somebody throws you a curveball. I'm going to give you an example as a preview. If I tell you, hey, I want you to talk about her purse, la bolsa. And you say, wow, that purse is big. You would say?
Es grande?
Es grande. Es grande. It's big. And you know that when you describe something as grande, you use ser with grande, right? See? Yeah. And you think I got this. I'm so good. I got this. And then you walk into a family gathering and abuelita comes in, and abuelita looks at her little nephew and, el nieto, estás tan grande. Estás tan grande. Just as sure, wait a minute. Es grande. Estás tan grande. Why did she do that? Just as soon as you think you've got it figured out, somebody throws you that curveball. But all that grandma is saying is that, oh, my little sweet baby, how
big you've grown.
How big you are, how big you are, how big you look. It's not exactly translatable. She's not saying he's not 6'6", but she saw him last year maybe, and it took a whole year, and he's grown a lot. And yeah, you get the idea. This is the curveball. So sometimes, even though you say, well, that isn't right, well, it is for what she wants to express. She wants to talk about how he looks in this situation. So even though grande usually is not with estar, in that case, it's perfectly good because it's talking about grandma's surprise. Sí, Esteban.
Estar, again, this is what I learned, is for something that's changeable, while ser is something that's permanent. The pocketbook is big. It always was. It always will be. But the boy has grown. He's changed. Is that correct?
Yeah, but in that case, you're saying, Esteban, it's kind of a relative thing then, right? Whereas usually size is not that relative. In that situation, in that context, that size is relative. And yeah.
Es guapo versus está guapo.
Es muy guapo. Bien, sí. Es muy guapo. Ese actor es muy guapo, pero wow, qué guapo estás. How handsome you look. And it's kind of a curveball, but not really, because what you're saying is, something's different. And I noticed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and there'll be people who tell you, that this thing of saying permanent, and I don't like that. Permanent, but so it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. And the kind of isn't is that it becomes a perception thing. Yeah. A perception, how you're reading it.
If somebody gained or lost a lot of weight, would you use a star?
You maybe.
You shouldn't
Estás,
say anything.
yeah, you know, the ladies who get together for a coffee clutch, they haven't seen each other in ages. Oh, qué delgada estás. Woo, how thin you look. Oh, qué delgada estás. Eso es, that's exactly right. Somebody's expressing a surprise, but it is kind of a relative thing. It's their perception of you has changed. Yeah. And yeah, that's, yeah. So, we want you to get comfortable with the discomfort of that. And not necessarily wedding yourself so much to the rule that you you don't want to get discombobulated by that little curveball. And it really is a small thing, isn't it? But you want to know it's like an expression of surprise. See? Bien? Okay? Todo bien? All good? Excelente. Ok. Entonces, una historia práctica con números y un poquito con ser y estar, a little bit with ser y estar, para la semana que viene. ¿Sí? Muy bien. And always feel free, please, always to email me anytime during the week if something hits you that, oh, I really want to work on this fall. I really want to work this. Always send me your ideas and things that are burning questions. It's excellent thing. Bien, vale. Entonces, hasta la próxima, ¿no? Hasta la próxima. Nos vemos y cuídense mucho, cuídense mucho.